Hello everyone, so I wanted to make a video discussing Necrolord Feral. It's been a build that's been circulating. I tweeted about it yesterday. People seemed curious about it, wanting to know how it functions. Is it any good? Is it viable? That dreaded word, viable. How good is it? Is it better than Night Fae? Where would you play it? How do you play it? And all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to go through that. I've also got some stuff to show you, like the document that Cheesey made, going through some of the information on how this build functions, and it's definitely something that I recommend you check out, but I'll show you that in just a moment. Before that, I want to say thank you to SquadOV for sponsoring this video. Let's hear a word from them. Now, many of you also come to me and ask about how to improve your own gameplay, right? And how you can get better at using cooldowns or when to use certain abilities and spells and whatnot. And that's why I want to recommend SquadOV to you who are sponsoring this video today. It's a great piece of software that you can download and automatically record your gameplay all for free. You can record your keys, your arena matches, your raid bosses, all automatically, and then go back and review this, like spell uses at particular times, certain pulls that you did, all sorts of incredible information using SquadOV. There'll be a link down in the description, but I definitely recommend it. It's something that I use personally. It's something that I think you would all really enjoy in order to review your own gameplay. Okay, cool. So this is the document that I was discussing a moment ago. This is the build that Cheesey has put together. I will link this down in the description. This is obviously, I mean, I don't know who first, like, kind of came up with the build of starting to play Necro, but there have been a few people who have been circulating around, like, they've decided to be playing it recently. It seems to be pretty good this season because of the changes of having double legendary, because of the changes of having the 4 set. It seems like something that is definitely playable. I don't want to say that playing Necro is better than Night Fae, but it's close enough or on par with to the point where you can choose to play it if you would prefer to play this bleed-based style, where less of your damage is coming from bite. In fact, none of your damage is coming from bite. And you can play this kind of old school Feral where you're prioing your bleeds and your management of like Savage Roar and stuff like that. So I think this is worth checking out. Definitely take a look. I don't actually play the build exactly the way that Cheesey does it in this build, in this guide, and the way that some others might do it. But I've been experimenting a little bit, like yesterday, having some fun, figuring out what I enjoy playing. So in this build, you're supposed to run Circle, you're supposed to run Predator, Savage Roar, Primal Wrath, Blood Talons, or Feral Frenzy. And you can also play potentially Lunar Inspiration as well. Some people are doing that. And then you can run these conduits as well here, which is probably hard to see, but I'll show you them in a second on my screen as well. So, and then it has a breakdown of how Adaptive Swarm and stuff should be spread and how to prioritize that. The way that I kind of like changed this build a little bit, so I actually run MOC instead of Blood Talons of Feral Frenzy, and there's a good reason for that, and I'll show you in a moment, but this is the build that I play. Savage Roar means that we're going to run into energy issues because we don't have Soul of the Forest, but Savage Roar is really fun to play around. So, because it's like a management dot, it's an extra thing to think about, which is kind of fun. You run Predator, and I run MOC. My energy issues are solved. They are non-existent. So, I get to run this build and not feel like I'm just completely energy starved the whole time. I then run Frenzy Band, hence me running MOC. By running Frenzy Band during my Berserk window, I'm actually swiping and applying my swipe bleed with Frenzy Band to every mob. So that's why I'm running MOC. Also, it means by running MOC and Frenzy Band, I'm getting some solid reduction on my Berserk because I'm using more abilities, I'm using more finishes more frequently, and I have Frenzy Band to help additionally reduce the duration of Berserk. So pretty nice to have. It means on like higher level keys, I should have Berserk for pretty much every single pack. It won't be as good as, say, running like Apex for reduction on Berserk, but that's okay. It obviously isn't as good as running Circle, or shouldn't be as good as running Circle in theory, because Circle really helps with your bleed duration, so you can get your Sickle of the Lion to dissipate quicker in case mobs are dying too quickly. You can just shred through that. Also, you're getting more Primal Wrath overall in any given situation because they're ticking quicker. Also, the main thing being, Circle of Life and Death reduces the duration of Adaptive Swarm, meaning it will spread quicker. So you're going to affect more targets quicker in combat, which means overall you're going to do more bleed damage from Adaptive Swarm. That's if you run Circle. However, I like to run Frenzy Band because I feel like it's a little bit better on single target. I get more Berserk duration, and it's just fun to just go into combat and kind of just Savage Roar, hit everything with Swipe, having fun. Bada boom, bada boom. These are my conduits that I'm running. I'll actually show you here because it's easier. But these are the conduits that I'm running. The big thing here is that the only good conduits are Evolve Swarm and Carnivorous Instinct. The others are a bit whatever. You're not going to be biting and stuff, so you don't care. The big thing here is that you're getting crit from Amir's Arsenal. And of course, you're getting the mastery from Carver's Eye as well, which is very significant to get the crit and the mastery, which is really nice to have. So that's kind of like the full length build, right? That's everything that you're taking. In terms of, and then this is like a damage breakdown here of how much damage I was able to do at a 22 Gambit. There's even, yeah, you can even see here. So Rip did like 20% of my damage, 5.6 million. Swipe did 5 million at 19% damage. Sickle did 4.6 million, 17% of my damage. Primal Wrath did initial hit, did 2.8 million. 10% damage, and then Frenzied Assault did 2.26 million, so 8% of my damage coming from the legendary. Pretty solid, pretty nice. And then Adaptive Swarm did 1 million and did about 800k passive healing as well, which is pretty solid as well. So that's what you're trying to achieve with the build is, well, like that's how the build is set up. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to, in combat, spread your Adaptive Swarm to as many mobs as possible and maintain your Savage Roar. That's the big thing here. And then just send it with Berserk, big AoE, and just be swiping during your Berserk window. Like, that's what I'm doing in this build. The main thing that you need to be focusing on is having as high an uptime on Savage Roar as you possibly can. Make sure you're taking advantage of those Predator resets. You can see I'm just here spamming Tiger Fury. You want to make sure that you're having a really high uptime on that, getting the energy regeneration so you can press more buttons, and you can just keep sending it. The big thing to focus on with Adaptive Swarm is maintaining or having good stack spreading and good stack refreshing. So the way Adaptive Swarm will work is that if you put it on an enemy, after it dissipates from that and reaches 0, if it has more than one stack, it will then jump and spread to friendly enemies, and then it will jump back again to enemies. So there's a science in how you want to maintain these stacks, and there's a priority list. I'm pretty sure on the document that Cheesey made, the priority of an enemy is if a mob has 2 stacks left, you want to refresh that, then the mobs that have 1 stack, then the mobs that have 3 stacks. And that's your priority in like what you're, and then it's 0 stacks, I think. You want to make sure that when you're going into new sets of combat, that you're making sure that Adaptive Swarm spreads onto enemies as quickly as possible with as many stacks as possible. But it's really quite a fun build to play. I do think it's good. I don't think it's better than Night Fae. Obviously, you lose single target with Necro compared to Night Fae. You also lose like on-demand burst. You don't have any burst with this build. The only thing you have is your Berserk 4 set. That's all you have in terms of burst. And that's it. So you're losing single target. You are gaining the defensive of Fleshcraft, which is nice, but I don't think that this is a good build in the majority of keys. Something like Gambit or the other side Ardenweald or Halls of Atonement, Sanguine Depths maybe, are good dungeons where this could be a good build. However, something like Theatre of Pain or Mists, I just wouldn't personally want to play Necro. So be careful with when you want to play it. I mean, if you're doing 15 keys, 18 keys, just play whatever you enjoy. Because you're not limited by the build at this point. Like, it's a low enough key where you're not going to wipe to, or you're not going to deplete the key due to low damage, or you shouldn't. So, just have fun and enjoy and play it if you want it. I personally am just using this build as like a fun thing to play. I might play it in some higher level keys, we'll see. But it is very enjoyable, it is very fun to play. It's nice going back to a bleed-based style Feral. And it's worth just giving it a shot, right? The thing that I would be careful of as well, it's Spiteful Week right now. The thing that you need to be careful of is there's a bug, and hopefully Blizzard's going to fix it. I made a tweet, or I responded to a tweet about trying to fix this from Royben. Spreading of your Adaptive Swarms from Spiteful mobs. Sometimes I don't know if it's all the time. I think it's just some of the time that Spiteful mobs, if they have the Adaptive Swarm on them, sometimes I think it's not jumping over, and it's not spreading, and you're ending up just losing the stack. I think that's what's happening. but I don't think it's every single time. Because some of them I'm seeing sometimes they are jumping and they are like refreshing, but not every single time. So it's something to be mindful of. In theory, Spiteful should be a good adaptive Storm week because it should help you spread, but I don't think it always does. But this is kind of just a little insight into this build. You should definitely try it out if you're feeling like playing some Necro. I recommend probably playing the Cheesey build rather than what I'm doing. Though, you know, if you come into my stream, you watch me, like this is probably what I'm going to be playing rather than the other build because this is what I prefer to play. And I think the damage is good enough where I can get away with playing this and it's all good. So, yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about this build, if you're enjoying it, if you're playing it yourself. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out SquadOV, our sponsor for this video. And of course, you can check out any links and stuff that I've been talking about in the description down below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch and follow me on Twitter and on YouTube. Appreciate it. See you later.